Welcome to the Stronger Together podcast brought to you by Sandpoint Strength and Conditioning. I'm your coach, Kenny Marquardt. Today, I'm joined by my lovely wife, Jen. It's Valentine's Day-ish, almost, tomorrow, and we thought we would podcast together in celebration. We talk about spousal relationships, empowering each other, what to do about if the other person's not on board with your self-improvement plans, and we talk about a lot more. So, hope you enjoy it. Okay, well, since it's Valentine's Day-ish, I've brought my lovely wife, Jen, to talk about we've talked about this quite a bit, but I think it'll be good to continue on the path. And as I tell most of my clients, as I've told my son thousands of times not to jump on the couch, he still jumps on the couch. And so it's worth hearing it more than once because then it will hopefully work someday. But we're going to talk about how to fitness life with your wife. There we go. Dear, what do you got? What do you want to start with?
I think the thing I have actually been thinking about a lot is just how it's not even the fitness piece. It's like how your overall health affects your relationships, right? Like how you feel in your body really is a determining factor of how you show up for everybody else in your life.
Is it even, do you think it's your body, or do you think it's more of a like feeling powered as you wake up in the morning knowing that you can take on the world? Like, I think it's just do you think it's more of a confidence thing, or do you think it's more of a physical thing, or both?
I think it's really layered. You know, I feel like I actually wrote a post on this the other day just about how like your lack of confidence or lack of like when you show up and you're like, man, I didn't show up the way that I wanted to show up here, right? A lot of times that's coming from like a lack of confidence. And while we could say like, okay, well, maybe it's how I feel about my body or how I think everybody else is thinking about my body or whatever, deeply, usually that like lack of confidence is coming from like a lack of internal alignment based on how you feel about the promises that you keep to yourself, right? So feeling like there's a gap between like what you're saying and what you're doing essentially, and that creates like conflict and lack of self-confidence, because if you can't trust yourself, like why should somebody else trust you or think that you're, worth?
Cool.
I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm not sure if we're solving anything here today. It's just a matter of perspectives.
Yeah.
And I think I've experienced that in a lot of different ways. But like when I feel like I have control over things, not even control, it's just excitement or momentum or positive results from actions, then I think I'd probably show up better.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think deeply that's about the fact that like there's an internal validation there of doing the thing that you said you were going to do. Right. And are you asking me or no? Because it's. Yeah, I'm wondering.
Okay. I don't know. I think there's a little bit of both. I think it's because I think it's still the momentum. I don't know if it's this, because the holding that thing, like holding it to yourself and fulfilling the end of the bargain, like that's great. But I think there has to be some positive momentum on the other side to like build that confidence where you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this and I'm going to kick ass. So yeah, it's both, in my opinion.
I agree too, because you can't, but the doing of the thing is what is the creation of the momentum, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I think in regards to the relationship stuff, that we've had some conversations around, there's a what do the kids call it? Trend. There's a trend on the Instagram where it's like
gram.
Why I'm training for the person that picked me forever. Like, screw the revenge body. I want to train for the person that I'm with forever, rather than I'm going to get fit to vengefully show my ex what they could have had. And I think the point of that we've had a lot of talks about is that you got to keep showing up for the partner that you have now. And if it took for them to leave you or you to leave them or whatever, to then all of a sudden uncover the fact that like you have this butterfly within you that's been living in a cocoon, like something's off. Mm-hmm. That's probably not right.
No, and like, listen, there's a lot of relationship dynamics that drive that. But if you are in a place where you're like, man, I want to fall more in love with the person that I chose and I want to show up as the best version for that person, like it starts with taking care of yourself first.
Yes. And I think that it's reciprocal, I think, too. I mean, there has to be both. Because if you start taking care of yourself, I've seen it 1,000 times, and it's one of the grossest things I've ever seen is where one person starts to take care of themselves and the other person shows resentment towards that upward momentum. And rather than supporting or getting on board and trying to say, yeah, let's like look good for each other, or just feel confident for each other, or improve for each other, they drag them back down to the couch and say, "No, no, we're much happier if we just sit on the couch and do this together." And so, sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked, but I think that was kind of the point. Is
Yeah, but if we go back to like what I was saying at the beginning, right, about that actually being a self-confidence issue, like why is that person dragging the other person backwards, right?
or laziness.
Because,
Laziness is more important, more potent than self-confidence or lack of self-confidence. A lot. It's hard.
yeah, it is hard.
It's not easy to get up, go to the gym, start the moment. Like the object at rest stays at rest. The object in motion stays in motion. Like if you're at rest and you've been sitting on the couch for the last 12 years and your spouse says, "Hey, let's actually like get off our fat asses and go to the gym." And you're like, "You know what? No, that's hard." It's not, I don't know how much of that's confidence more that it's just lethargy.
Lethargy, yeah, but the person pulling the other person backwards, why are they doing, like, why deeply are they doing that? Right? Like, yes, it is laziness, but like that person, like it threatens something,
It's
right?
both.
It makes
I think it's
them
both.
feel something. Yeah. It can be both for sure.
And there's a lot of layers and depth to that probably, because if you know that you get off the couch, and yes, that's hard. It's hard to start. It's hard to, but once you start to see the effects and you start to feel better, like it does, the momentum carries for sure. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, that some of it might be the self-confidence or limiting belief that they're actually able to succeed, and they may be threatened by the fact that their spouse probably can and they can't, and so.
Well, and something to say, I think when you're doing something new too, right? When you're challenging yourself, when you're getting out there, like it is tough, it is difficult, and your brain will look for an easy way out. And if you have a partner that's not like cheering you on and like telling you, "Hey, like I'm proud of you, I know this is hard," like they're not encouraging you in that, and they're instead giving you this like easy way out of like, "Oh, let's just sit on the couch and sit," like in your moments where you're building that habit and it is feeling hard, and like that's the last thing you need, because your brain is looking for easy, your nervous system is looking for easy in those moments. And if you have this like voice in your head saying, "Oh, you don't actually need to do this, let's just do this instead," like it's gonna be a lot easier to lean into that.
And I think that and I want to make it clear too, like I think that I definitely am a little more terse or kind of like blunt with some of this stuff. It's not necessarily about the appearance. Like I would think that that's some of the, that trend or the comments that were before, like sounds like it's, well, you got to stay hot for your partner. And I don't know that that's actually the ultimate thing. Some people, well, quite frankly, we're never hot, and that's fine. Like they're never going to, but that's not my point. Again, this is I get canceled, but I'm just more saying that I think that there's the vibrance, and the people are attracted to vibrance and confidence, like regardless of appearance or performance, whatever it is. Like if you present as confident and like you're feeling excited to be alive and to do things, like you're probably going to hold the attraction of your partner regardless of what you look like. And that's awesome.
We should be inspiring one another like that. Like I know when you and I are both in this space where we're in our routines, we're kicking ass in our careers, like we're feeling really good, it's like our marriage is always better in those moments, because it's the energy that we're bringing to those relationships, right? Like, and that energy is built on how you're supporting your body.
And my perspective on all of it, like, yes, I'm obviously in the, using your body space. Like fitness is using your body, but I still think it's really relates so much more to everything else. And I tend to find that the people that are successful with moving their bodies, they're successful with other things, because it's the immediately demonstrable thing right in front of you. And I find that they often are not nearly as incongruent as people would like to think. Or it's like, oh, I devote all of my time to my career, and therefore I cannot fitness. And so there's a like, okay, well, there's confidence and success with this side of it. I don't find that to be true. I find that if you peel back the layers and you talk to enough, and I'm not trying to pick on people, but I think that there's like a lack of dedication and ability to kind of follow through that prevails through everything else. And again, not to try and pick on it, but I think that if your point is success and vibrance and confidence, it's how you do anything is how you do everything.
Agreed on if you want more success in your life, in your business, in your marriage, then you've got to practice what that like dedication and follow through looks like in one of those areas first and build confidence in it. And then it like spirals into every other area. That's what I believe.
Yeah.
I feel like you get, like for me, fitness and my health was the thing that gave me the confidence to know I could do it in other areas of my life too. Like build momentum somewhere. Right.
Yep.
And like if that's in the gym first and then that leads to success in other places, amazing. But like your brain loves proof of your receipts, right?
100%.
Like, and so prove it in an area.
Yeah. And the most acute way that you can do that, I think, is through fitness or nutrition or whatever. And even though most people will complain and say that it's slow, I think it's pretty quick in terms of like how you will make monumental shifts for the rest of your life in just a quick deal.
Well, people will say it's slow because of the metric they're using to measure success, right? Like in my opinion, when all you're looking at is the number on the scale moving, can I see my muscles more clearly? Like that's a metric that takes longer to see the momentum of. But in my opinion, if you actually focus on, man, is my sleep better? Is my productivity better? Am I clear when I'm like in my job? Like what are those actionable, those things stack? I mean, clients who get their nutrition and fitness on board almost within 2 weeks see the benefits of that. I mean, that's a very quick ROI. People aren't measuring those things. They just want the end, like, does my body look different?
How do you measure those other qualitative things though?
I mean, for me, those are actually questions I ask my clients every single week. What's your energy look like? What's your sleep look like? Those sorts because I want them to start to make the correlation that these habits aren't just about how they're changing their exterior body, it's how they're changing their internal body as well. And so I think you have to look at you need to be not just tracking those like trailing indicators, you need to be tracking the leading indicators.
Yeah. So what's the series of metrics that you use?
We use sleep, stress, and energy are the three that we look at. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great because you're right. I mean, I think it's so much less now. Unfortunately, it's going to become more, it's back in vogue is watching the scale with all the misuse of peptides, which again, well, let's go down that road. But at the same time, like there used to be so much more of a performance-based aspect on like, okay, cool, let's get strong. Let's do these. Like there is, and that's, again, we'll go down that road. But because the scale is so easily accessible and it's like it's a universal thing. Like I'm either up or I'm down. And that tends to still be the focus on whether or not people are making any progress. And I think it's bullshit.
And I'm just going to like put a plug in here for this is why coaching is so freaking important. Like I will say this over and over and over again. You're not unsuccessful because you don't have the right information. Mm-hmm. You're unsuccessful because you let your brain and your beliefs and your emotions dictate your actions. When you have coaching, someone can show you another way. They can help walk you through those moments. And that's like 95% of what I do for my clients is like getting them, because every single person that will come into my program is going to have a moment of panic. Like that's just a normal part of the process. It's normal when you're doing something different. It's normal when you're changing. Resistance meets intention, like always, always, always. But when you have someone who has seen it before and can offer you another perspective and show you another way, you get out of your head. And then you get into action and you keep going and then you finally see momentum. Mm-hmm. So many people get stuck at the 3, 4, 5 week mark. They get in their head, they get into their emotions, they get into the belief about how long something's supposed to take. And then they pull back and they let their emotions dictate the situation, and coaching kind of takes that out.
Yeah. And to further that point, pointing out the progress in other areas to say like, hey, dumb, like this is where it actually got better.
Yes.
And I mean, I deal with it every day as well, where people are like, oh, blah, blah, like this. I'm like, wait, hold on. Let's make a really accurate comparison and say, this is what we're doing. And if it's not working, like I'm not here to try and blow smoke up your ass. Like if it's not working, it's not working. And I'll help you move around that and fix it. But if it is working and you're just being blind to that because of your own insecurity or, internal wiring or
impatience,
you need a pat on the back, like that's fine. Like that's a lot of the job. So the point, yeah, again, of like having a coach in your corner to point out the things that are important and to remember is awesome. It helps you get up every day and say, yeah, cool. Like I am doing the thing, even if this one singular metric that I thought was the most important thing is actually not representative of where I'm going.
I had 2 separate conversations yesterday with, one isn't a client, but she's somebody I chat with about nutrition every once in a while. And then the other person is a client. And they were both saying, like, I feel so good after I talk to you because no one cheers me on in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
That's awesome.
I don't have somebody
Not awesome
that
for her.
does
Sorry.
this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but I don't have somebody that does this for me. And both of them have like had crazy success in their journeys in terms of weight loss. But they both have been on these journeys for like 6, 8, 12 months. Yeah. Right. In the past, one of my clients, I had her pull up and I was like, have you ever had a period this long of keeping the weight off? So she pulled her like Fitbit calculator up and she was like, never. I've never, ever like had this weight loss and then kept it off. And she said the biggest thing for me has been having someone that can get me out of my head and into the like actions of like what I'm actually, the progress that I actually am making,
Yeah, for sure. And ChatGPT is not doing that for people. They're not.
Listen, it's actually funny because one of my clients she's using ChatGPT. This is the gal who's not a client and just somebody I chat with every once in a while. And she is actually using ChatGPT for some of those things. And it is working for her in that moment, and they're actually giving her really some good advice. But that doesn't, for 99% of people, that does not work. Like,
no, I think that was a little bit tongue in cheek, but I hear with that. I hear the points there is that actually with a kind of more binary device, like probably is going to give you some data and reflection to look at rather than like soft feelings that may be not true.
Well, and I feel like there's this people who are genuinely successful long term. If they can make it through like the first kind of 4 to 6 months of like failing and getting back up and failing and getting back up and like doing that process enough times to kind of see that and prove to themselves, oh, I am a person who follows through. I am a person who does these things. They're going to be successful over the long term. The people that aren't are the people that kind of quit in that like 2-month period, in my experience.
Yeah. Which is, this horse has been beaten to death, but it's just not the right way to do it. You can do so much dog shit, whatever, to get your alleged success in a month or 2 that isn't sustainable, practical, or useful in any way and feel like you did something better. But honestly, it's just going to be worse. And I can make the same comparison in the gym where if you perform some dog shit 1 rep max and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that was better, and you look like you almost got to explode, like that's worse. That's actually way worse. And you're just reinforcing motor patterns. You're reinforcing habit. Like all the same thing can be compared to in nutrition to say, hey, yeah, great. You can definitely do that. Is it a good idea? Absolutely not. So if you're seeing the success you wanted to see in a matter of 4, 6, or 8 weeks to a very dramatic fashion, like that's fine, but you're doing it wrong.
Well, and one of the things I talk a lot about is you are actually down regulating, and this is especially true for females who have a history of like under eating and dieting and all of this. Like you are down regulating the very system that is responsible for whether or not you keep the weight off long term in the process. Yeah. So you're doing way more damage. Like you're getting that that first, like, listen, it feels good to step on the scale every morning and see that number go down. Like that is a dopamine hit, and that helps you like when you're restricting and when you're trying to get to this goal really fast and you're having to give up all these things, that dopamine hit of the scale helps you restrict, right? Like because you're seeing the ultimate reward, but you're doing so much damage to the system and to your body and creating so much distrust in your body through the process that it's actually working against you ultimately long term. It's not making you any healthier and that's what people ultimately want. Like you're doing all these things to be healthier, but if you're doing it fast, you're not going to get there.
Are they doing it to be healthier?
Women, they do. Like I think again, it's layered. There is a aspect of health, but there's also an aspect of a body looking a certain way in order to feel a certain way, right?
I don't know. I think I think there's more narcissism in it than most people think. I think that the like longevity thing is really a bit of a thin shroud over more vain desires.
Well, I think the approach dictates the ultimate desire, right? I mean, do we want to talk about GLPs?
I don't care. Like, let's go for it. And again, I'm not trying to. This is not. I'm a big proponent of the longevity. Like, let's live forever. But I also like want to look good too. And the chickens. I'm not sure if it's a chicken or egg thing. You tend to look good if you're going to live forever. But let's not like call it something it's not. If people really like are actually, would they say, would you like to live another 10 years, or would you like to every time you took your shirt off, someone would be like, holy shit, what are you doing? I would bet they would pick the latter every single time.
I think it depends on where you're starting from, honestly.
Sure, that's a good point.
You are someone who is experiencing the effects of not taking care of your body right now. You care about being healthy. Like you're doing this. Yeah, you want your jeans to fit better, but you also don't want to get winded walking up the stairs. And you don't want to be worried about being the last person to keep up on the hike with your friend. Like those are very real, and that is coming from a place of wanting more help, in my opinion.
Right. And I think there's an altruistic, or like it doesn't have to be either or. It shouldn't be either or. But in the landscape right now, that makes me a little bit, I don't know, uncomfortable, is that people are definitely taking the easier way out. Not easy. That's such a like bad way to present this idea, or like this whole thing. It's not the easy way out, but it is definitely leaning harder towards the vanity short-term success that will not help them in the long term, because they're not doing all the things in order to have a short-term like vanity result. And again, that's a little bit whatever, call it controversial, I don't really care.
Well, so let's talk about what's driving this, right? Like, I mean, if you're watching the Olympics right now, you know that you've seen 1,000 GLP commercials, right? Like that is literally all that is on the television right now. It's just commercials about GLP and weight loss and making it easier. It is pulling on this thread of, and this is controversial and I'm just going to talk about it, like the fact that this is just something that is like a hereditary thing that you've struggled with, and this pill is going to fix the problem, right? To me, and there are genetics that genetics plays a small role in metabolic health. It's not as big as everybody thinks that it is. It's one of many factors. But the second that you say, oh, this is actually outside of your control, right? This is something that's happening to you, you miss the opportunity to get deeper into why that thing is happening in the first place, right? Like you get to take all responsibility out of it. You go, oh, this is just something that's happening to me and the pill is going to fix it, right? The issue with that is that there's no personal responsibility there, which is my problem. And this is, I'm not saying that every person that starts a GLP is thinking this. I'm saying that the marketing around this is what I've really been paying attention to, right? And you miss the opportunity to say, wait, well, okay, but are there things that I could take responsibility for in this? And when you do understand your role in it, then you get to actually make changes that are going to make the results of that drug last, right? And that's the issue that I have with it, is when you just say, oh, well, it's just this, then you're taking the opportunity to get deeper into why that thing is happening in the first place.
Yeah.
Is that not making sense?
No, it makes fine sense. I think there's other, I think the mechanisms behind, I think it's a little bit more complicated. I'm not trying to shoot your argument down. I think I agree with all the things that you're saying. I think the whole time you were saying that, I was kind of thinking about, we've talked a lot about HRT, or hormone replacement therapy, on this. Mm-hmm. And to say, well, actually it's not your hormones. Like you just need to sleep better and eat better and work out more, and that'll fix all your stuff. And so I think there's a place for medicinal intervention or exogenous hormones or GLPs or whatever. And I think that's my bone to pick with all of it, is like, it's not that's an accessory to help you down this path.
Sorry, that's what I was, that's the point I was getting at, is like, I think I work with clients that are on GLPs. I think GLPs are an amazing tool. My issue is the marketing that I'm seeing around it right now, but I'm not against it. I'm just against it on its own without additional support structures underneath it.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think I brought up a kind of a more negative perspective on them earlier, to say what kind of pisses me off is the fact that like the big is beautiful, stronger is sexy. Like that's gone now. That was a very popular slogan, very popular marketing thing. That was, and there was people pushing back on that. I way prefer that than the new wave of anorexia that we're subjugating by having people just waste themselves away without fitness and like trying to do the long-term positive things in conjunction with. Again, if there are a set of training wheels or there is something that you maybe need to be on for the rest of your life, but it helps you do the right things, like absolutely. I am 100% all for it. Of course, like under doctor supervision, like,
yes,
you know, the disclaimer there is probably doesn't need to be said, but I'm not against them at all. And I don't think people should be ashamed of them at all. In fact, I think it's great. Like, again, I think it's great. I think it's a really unique and neat time that we're in to use medicine and use science to help further our efforts to make ourselves better. But I would be, if you could take a pill, so this is a little bit of a different, but if you could just take a pill and be fit or look like you're fit, I wouldn't take it. I'm not interested. Period. Like if I had to stop expressing my fitness and seeing what my potential was and doing it, I wouldn't take it. But if I could do something to help in conjunction and kind of like either kickstart or further my efforts or like, you know, overcome an obstacle that would help me stay on the path for a longer period of time, all day long. Yeah, let's do it.
I completely agree there because, well, deeply, the reason why that is because the expression of the fitness is part of the development of like who you've become, right? Mm-hmm. Like I think about that for my own journey. It's like, man, I like a pill is not going to give me pride in myself, right? A pill isn't going to be like, I got done with my workout yesterday. I got in the car and I was on fire, right? And it like that is a result of the actual activity itself and character. I feel like I built so much character in myself through the process of fitness.
And again, it's an accessory to enhancing your ability to live life longer and better. Nobody's picking up people for wearing glasses. Well, I guess, you know, you could probably say that at some point in their lives, but I don't think that's anymore. Nobody's picking up people for getting knee replacements or hip replacements. And those are all the same, in a similar vein, the same thing. It's like, hey, this could help you not run people over when you drive at night. That's a good idea. This is helping you do squats without pain or ski without pain. Like, this is helping you do these things that help you live your life in a better fashion. But it doesn't mean that that's the end all be all. It's a tool.
It's interesting because I work with clients who are on GLPs and then either transitioning off of them or on like a super low dose of them. And then I talk to a lot of women but while we're working together, right, they're building habits and consistency and they're learning how to nourish and fuel their bodies and eating for energy, right? Like, so we're really specific in we're using this as a to quiet some of the things, but we're also like we're pairing it with the habits and the nutrition and all of the things that are going to help you maintain this, whether you stay on a low dose or you go off of it fully. And those women are like, you know, they're crushing it. They're not having the side effects that a lot of people talk about with the GLPs. They're not losing their hair. They're not exhausted. Like they're getting the benefits of the GLP because while they're doing it, they're also taking care internally of their systems, right? Yeah. Then I talk to women who just like went on it, didn't do any of those things. And the second they go off that medicine, the scale skyrockets 15 pounds. Mm-hmm. Like, they're on, they're off, they're on, yep. They're off. If you want the results of something to work, you need to do it at its fullest expression, right? And the fullest expression of the GLP being productive is addressing the nutrition component that got you to this place in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's kind of like, I don't know, gas on a fire. Like you can use it to start it. You can use it to maintain it. Like you can do stuff like that, but it shouldn't just be on its own or just going to burn hot and burn fast and go out.
Then it's just like doing the carnivore diet or, you know, the master cleanse or anything else, right? Yeah. Then it's just another quick fix. And this long-term weight loss is what, I mean, ultimately when I speak to people, it's like they don't want to keep playing the same dance over and over again, right? They're tired of, and that's a waste of time, right? Yep. Like solving the same problem over and over again is a complete and total waste of time. If the GLP is your goal to do that, then like let's put that seatbelt on your results with the nutrition and the workouts and the strength training in place so that you actually, if you're making the investment in the GLP, it actually is an investment for good.
Yeah. And that's a good point. You brought up some other nutritional dogmas there, all of which over time have been either disproven or people have died or like realized they're getting freaking, what's the intestinal disease, like where you, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Oh, gout?
Oh my God. Whatever. Anyways.
Well,
the
I
guy
know
that,
what you're
like,
talking about. But
yeah. The guy that, Paul Saladino is like now anti-carnivore. He was like the biggest dude in the thing. And so my point is like, it's all like if you take any of these things to the extreme and assume that that is the only and end all be all, you're unfortunately wrong. And I can say that very confidently after doing this for as long as I have and seeing everything come out, over that
we've
period
also
of time.
tried them all. I mean, we've like, there was a period where you and I were just kind of like playing around with all of these different nutritional philosophies to kind of see, right? Because in the, it was paleo and it was intermittent fasting and it was like, we've played around in that pool.
Yeah, and I think that that's a great point because they all actually do have they have some benefits. Like they have a perspective that is interesting to consider, but when you take them to the full extreme as though that is the end all be all, that's when the problem happens. I think that's what you're trying to say, but yeah, we've played in those areas and realized, okay, well, if you take paleo to the extreme, you're going to overeat fat to a crazy amount and you're going to probably be undernourished for fitness. If you take carnivore to the full extent, you're going to never eat fiber and you're going to have a terrible digestive system. And you're probably going to end up gaining weight because you're going to realize like, oh, cool, I can just eat all this bacon forever. And that's all we have to eat because vegetables are bad.
So like if your digestion's messed up, your metabolic rate, so like all of those. And here's the thing I want to say here too. It's like I've been thinking so much about this lately because your relationship with food is the most important thing here. Right? Like, because if you are fearful, like every single one of those diets that you do, so carnivore, it's like, okay, vegetables are bad for me. And it's like paleo, okay, well, carbs are bad for me. And, and then it was low fat. It's like, okay, fat's bad for me. Here's what actually is happening in your brain. And this, I've been doing some research on it. It's so interesting. Every time you stack a rule like that, right? So every time you try a diet and you stack a rule, even when that diet is done, your brain remembers that rule. Okay. So this is why people are so confused that when you then go to eat anything, your brain is still filtering through all of those rules, right? So every time you go to eat something, it's like, oh my God, is a carb bad? Is a strawberry bad? Like you're doing that. And that creates a lot of fear and distrust in your body, right?
Sure.
And if that is your relationship with food is coming from a place of fear, you are going to have a relationship with food where every time you eat something, you either feel like a good or a bad person. And if a diet is making you feel that way about every time you eat, you are going to stay stuck in a cycle of I've either been good or I've either been bad. And when you feel guilty about your choices, you are much more likely to self-sabotage over and over and over again. So no diet, in my mind, is worth sacrificing your relationship with food for that, right? Like we have to heal that first. I truly believe like you've got to get to the root of like your relationship with food first in order to make any sort of real meaningful change.
What does that mean? Like, can you elaborate further on what somebody could do in that way?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I really work with clients on is, hey, food isn't moral. Eating a cookie doesn't make you good. Eating is bad. Eating a salad doesn't make you good. Right? There are choices that like we want to lead from a place of like nourishment and support in our bodies. We want to leave room for all foods because there is room for all foods. And when you get out of that belief of like food is good or bad, you realize that like you can have one cookie and move on because you're not telling yourself you're never going to ever eat that thing again because you've been bad. Right? Yeah. You can but that takes work, and diets and the rules, and even the diets that have done this, like with the guides of being healthier, right? Like paleo was all about making people internally healthier. Whole30 was all about, like, that was really what it was about at its wholest form. But if it creates more food noise, because that's like where the food noise comes from, is the rules of like, well, what about this and what about that, and should I do this? Then that's not actually making you any healthier.
Yeah. And to tack onto that a little bit, I think that happiness, I had a good conversation with a client yesterday, and she's like, I'm really happy, but I feel like I should be doing more because I feel like other people are doing more stuff. And I'm like, no, settle down. You are nailing it. Like, if you're happy, let's just leave this alone. She's like, really? Like, I feel like everybody else in my, like, they're all running around chasing this. They're chasing happiness. You found it. Like, let's just settle down. And you may be pulled in a different direction at some other point, but then moving the goalposts. And I'm going a little bit off on a different path. But what you were saying is, like, if the food noise and the shame and the guilt and the complications and the this and the that, like, are you actually happier? You may have reached the goal, but are you actually, like, is your life better for you? Or not? I'm not asking you. I'm just curious. Sorry.
No, I mean, I think that your mental health in this process is so important. Like no health or version of health or version of your body is worth sacrificing your quality of life and your relationship with food to get there. Right? Like, my goal for clients is that their relationship with food gets better while they reach their goals, while they, get to this place, not worse. And I think that's a question you should be asking yourself when you're deciding what you're going to do, is like, is this going to add to the list of food rules I already have in my mind? Is this going to get me, am I going to go to the grocery store and be even more confused than I already am about what to buy? And if the answer is yeah, then you need to look at that.
Okay, so reconcile the conversation we were having earlier where the hypothetical was the couple on the couch and the one person saying, no, sit back down, we're happy. Mm-hmm. And the other one says, no, we're not happy enough. Again, that's not necessarily, but like, I could see where somebody listening would be like, hold on a second. You just said be content. Contentment is one of the ultimate goals here, but also self-improvement and empowering yourself and running with vibrance. And like, that's like, how do you connect those two dots?
I'm not saying be content. I am saying if you are going to choose a goal to get healthier, make sure that the method that you're using to get there doesn't F up your relationship with food in the process and doesn't make you more fearful and doesn't put you into a more all or nothing cycle than you were before. Right? Like, so my point is choose the right mechanism to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think this was more of the, like, if I'm arguing for contentment, and I think by contentment, I'm saying happiness. Like, if you're contentment and happiness, I think using it a little bit interchangeably, and you could probably make an argument to differentiate the definitions. But if I'm saying happiness in the stillness is more important than the pursuit of the next thing, like, where do you draw that line between the hypothetical spouse on the couch who says, I'm happy eating pizza and watching Netflix and this is cool, screw you for wanting to do more, like, why don't you sit back down here and be content? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, I just want to make sure we're not talking
where's the diminishing return there? Like, at what point because I think the point you're making, though, is that, so I guess the biggest question is that person who's sitting on the couch doing nothing, are they actually content? Like, deep down, are they actually content? Because if they really truly are content and the other person isn't, well, then that's a differentiation in values, right? Like, one person values growth and improvement and the other person doesn't, right? But is that, if that person sitting on the couch actually deep down isn't content, but they're afraid of failure again, right?
Yeah.
And they're being lazy, but their laziness is a way of protecting themselves from failing again, right? That's a different scenario because they actually do value growth. They're just scared. Those are two different people, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the juxtaposition of, is it a matter of, is, like you said, is it a matter of self-confidence and reflection on that it's the effort to do something different would be too hard, and that's versus the person, like, I can think of an example where somebody just, like, they're just a movie buff. They just get lit up by watching and experiencing cinema. Like, that's great. Or food. Like, again, that's what lights them up. And I think that was the point of the initial part of the conversation, is like, your spouse, if we're going to bring this back around to the Valentine's Day spousal relationship thing.
We took a total rabbit trail today, but it's okay.
But if your spouse is, I'm more attracted to you and you're lit up and fired up and like doing the things that bring you joy and bring you happiness. And I can just see it emanating off of you. That doesn't happen to be for us, the like cinematic experience. For some though, it might. And if that's, that person's fully expressing who they want to be in their existence, and that is bringing them that confidence and radiance, and then that's what their partner was probably attracted to in the beginning, all like more power to you. Like that should then empower the other spouse. Like, they can do whatever they want to. But I think the example we were trying to say is like, if it's just like, what's the point of trying? I'm just going to hang out, and that's a different experience altogether.
100%. And you can have, I mean, this kind of goes back to what you were just saying of like, where's the point of like, you can just be content, right? And so for maybe that person, like health can look different for everybody, right? Some people really want that like super lean body and muscles and all of that, and that takes like a different level of commitment and expression and all of those things. But health can also look like just taking care of your body in a way that works for you, right? So like I think the biggest thing is like it doesn't have to be the fullest like level of it for you to be healthy, right? And so that in my mind, it's like sometimes we get confused with like, well, the leanest body or the fittest body or the strongest body is the healthiest body. But I think there's a little bit of a spectrum there of like, you don't necessarily have to be at, you know, for a female, like 17% body fat for that to be healthy, right? Like there's a range, and depending on how much time and effort that you want to put into it, that's kind of how, like what you want to sacrifice for that is what your results are going to be ultimately. And somebody could be, you know, like you can be healthy for a female at 28% body fat, and you can be healthy at 17% body fat. And it just is more dependent on like what you want your life to look like in that range of health, in my mind.
So yeah, I don't know. Empower your spouse.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really is though, like if we go back to what we were talking about earlier, it's like all of this, the reason we're having this discussion is because if you married somebody and you love them, like one of the best things you can do is make sure that you're here for a really long time for that person, right? And I think that ultimately is what we're talking about, is like being able to like caring enough about that other person to do the work on ourselves to make sure that we're there for a long time.
Or just keep dating them. Like if you fell in love for the reasons, again, life's going to evolve and change, and you're going to see them in different environments that may be like different than you expected or whatever. But like to continue to try and date and impress them like you did in the beginning is probably a good idea.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like we've done a lot of things not great, but I think one of the things that we've done really well in our marriage is that. And when you continue with that mindset, you grow together, you know, and that I think that's important.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go. You got to go. I got to go. So I think we need to wrap this sucker up.
All right. That was really fun. Let's do more of that.
I love it. Okay, cool. Well,
love you.
If they want to find you, how does somebody find you?
If they want to find me, I'm the Flourish Girls on Instagram.
Kenny at Sandpoint Strength. Coach Kenny Marquardt on the Instagram. Okay, toodaloo. All right, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. If you need further help, if any of the stuff that you heard that inspired you to join us, if you're not already a part of the family here at Sandpoint Strength, then shoot me an email, kenny@sandpointstrength.com, or check us out on the web. What year is it? Sandpointstrength.com. All right, see ya.